Serious, casino dealers of Reddit, what's the most money you've seen someone lose, and how was the aftermath? Croupier here. Worked in a large casino not in America. We had a lot of Asian clientele in our VIP room. Once had a guy betting 600k per hand on baccarat. He ended up a few mil and was sharing it around the group of women escorts around him. Most I've seen lost his 10 mil in 3 weeks. He has the room booked for the month, so he made his bagman fly back to Thailand and get more money. Nothing was transferred. It was all cash. Finally, a question I can answer. I work in a well-known casino in Las Vegas. It happens multiple times per week that we get high rollers in who win or lose over $1 million. The most I ever saw a person lose was about $9 million in one night. But while that may seem like an obscene amount of money to you or I, that's what he budgeted himself to gamble that trip. He came knowing he may lose $9 million. Don't get me wrong. He wasn't happy. But he didn't lose his mind. Or freak out or anything like that. Dealer. Not in Vegas but still considered a large casino. The most heartbreaking losses always come from naive college kids or the regular single parents, but the largest loss I've ever seen was pretty entertaining. There's a regular at our casino that owns his own company but also used to scam other casinos by having an inside man at his bank confirm credit over the phone that the player did not have. He's since been busted for this and will definitely be sent to jail once the case is closed. He still has a ton of cash and plays at our casino, being the only one in the area that allows him inside. A few weeks after he was caught, he came to our casino with 4 briefcases of $250,000 each and said, "I'm not leaving until the sign outside says, insert player's name, casino." Super upbeat and happy guy. Really nice to the dealers, probably so he wouldn't get kicked out. After 5 hours, my shift was over and he was down $720,000. The smile on his face looked like he found the money in between his couch cushions. I manned the roulette wheel for about 6 months back in my college days. And the most amount of money I ever saw someone lose was $2,500. He put $100 on 22 different numbers. Red, even, and second half. I'll never forget his face with 0 showed up. The most amount of money I ever saw someone win was around $12,000 or so. Give or take. It was around Christmas time. And a group from a business Christmas party came in. The boss gave everyone $100 and she came over. Put $100 on 13. Just wanting to get rid of it and get home. 13. $3,500 instant win. She takes $3,400 back. And puts $100 on 25. 25. Another $3,400 net gain. I forget the third number. But she did it again. She then put $500 on one of the colors. Forget which. And about the same on the thirds. Forget which. She won the thirds. Lost the color. And walked, had me call security over to escort her to cash in her SIPs. This took her no time. At all. She was very excited. Talking about how much this money would help her. 60k on blackjack. Guy didn't even blink. On to the next hand. My time to shine. Croupier here. Quit after this incident. I lost $3 mil in an hour. Won $5.20 mil back from the same client. All in the span of 6 hours. He hanged himself in the suite that night. Edit. House lost $3 mil to the client in 1 hour. Should have walked when he could, but he played for the next 6 hours and slowly lost all his gains plus $2.20 mil to the casino. Word has it that he was on the verge of bankruptcy and this was his final resort. Croupier from Sydney. Dude turned over about 20 mil in 20 minutes. He was just there because it was uni enrollment time for his son. So decided to shout them a fun time in the inner sanctums. Another dude lost maybe 700k and didn't care. His bagman showed me photos of the private jet they travel in, which had a full-size queen bed in it. Pretty awesome. Since I'm white, I didn't really get to deal much in the inners. But if the players lose, They just kick you out and ask for a luckier dealer. Usually an Asian female. I dealt blackjack for a few months at an Iowa casino. A guy was staying at our hotel for a week on business and would play at my table at night because we had some good conversations and he had a few really good runs. Me. On his last hand one night he put down $500. Hit 2 8s against me showing a 6. He split them. On the first one he got a 3 and doubled down. Drew a 4 or 5. Second he got a 2 and doubled down on it as well and got another mediocre hand. I forgot what I had exactly but I ended up drawing like 5 cards and not busting and taking $2,000 from him. He laughed and tipped me a couple of black chips, $200. I would have felt bad if I thought he couldn't afford it. We definitely had some people like that, but I got the impression he was doing just fine. I'm a dealer and I'll never forget my first night on rAskReddit was the most I've ever paid out. I tap onto the game and I see a duck-eyeing stack of chips and 16. Boom. 16 off the rip for like 6 different people in total. One guy got it good for like 17k. Was an eventful first night on rAskReddit. That game's fun to deal. Blackjack or baccarat? Awful. Currently a dealer at a large casino in the US. Not Vegas. I tap onto my blackjack game and this guy I'm dealing to tells me he is already down around 100k. He's a white guy. Mid-50s or so. Wearing a tacky plaid suit. He was betting 500-1k a hand. 2 hands every time. Over about 4 hours the guy floats between my table and the one next to me buying in 10k at a time. I gave him one good shoe the whole night so I was busting his head essentially the whole time. A couple times it took longer for me to count his buy-in than for me to put it in my rack. There were so many $100 bills in my money box it was getting tough to put the paddle in it. My floor tells me after he leaves that he lost 209k after it was all said and done. He treated it like how I would treat losing $1,000 maybe. He wasn't happy but he seemed like he could shrug it off. My floor was like yay. I could pay off my entire mortgage with what he just lost. I died a little inside that day but it's not my money after all. Hey, I finally get a question that's directly relevant to me. And all the other answers are of way more money than I handled since the casino I worked at wasn't a large tribal one. Nor was it even standard size. Really it was a half casino half bowling alley. Anyway. I've dealt all the table games there plus poker over the years. Generally. People who bet big and lose win big are actually the calmer ones. They are very aware of the amounts they are betting and they are probably with enough income trust money wealth that it doesn't matter. The really bigger actions come from those who are broke. And who are betting anyway, digging deep into debt with credit cards or borrowed cash. etc. etc. And it really doesn't happen all at once. Those people are the ones who bet $10 here. $5 here. $3 there. etc. etc. Doesn't sound like much. But an hour later they pull out another $200. And another. And then by the time 4 AM in the morning rolls around, they've put enough $3 bets down to lose their house. The biggest reaction I ever saw was this exact scenario. A guy was betting small all night and I mean from around 5:30 PM to 4 AM. He was straight through the whole evening, midnight, and early morning with small bets. But those small bets ended up being way over $10,000 that he could not afford to lose. When the pit boss made the announcement at 4 o'clock that we were about to close in an hour, the player goes for like 5 more hands. And then as soon as the dealer scoops up the $3 bet, the guy screams, flips the table backward into the dealer, and begins chucking stills everywhere. It didn't last long. Our security guard was a 400-pound Samoan with a short fuse. When you watch the security footage, it's the funniest thing you ever saw. You see this guy flailing around, chucking stills and chips everywhere. Then suddenly appears a large black monster-y figure, who just appears to absorb the smaller man and continues right on moving off screen. And suddenly all is calm. Funny video. But not a funny situation in general. Gambling is a very bad addiction if you can't control it. I saw someone that I knew. An older gentleman. In his 50s. White guy. Not rich either, but he loved to gamble on the horse races. He was pretty good at it too. He a couple of times won big. Along the lines of 19k one time. But sadly one day I saw him lose a few races, get upset, and he put down 11k on a sure bet. Yeah, well, he lost that 11k again. Not a rich man. That was probably almost everything. I was a table games dealer for a while, and honestly, the people who lose it loads of money didn't really care. It was the regular Joes who would lose $300 in a night that would lose their it. Their body language would change, and I could tell they were there to make money and ended up losing the money they needed to pay bills. These were the hardest. On the flip side, we would have a guy come in with bankrolls of hundreds and play for 3 hours, win or lose. Biggest tip that guy ever gave was $30. I'm an ex-croupier in the UK. This might not seem like it, but I'm not from a big city and I hadn't been in the job long. A student came in with £40. He won £14,000. Then he started to lose. Instead of cutting his losses, he thought he could make it back up to 14k. The idiot lost it all. Could have wiped his student debt. Could have bought a car, holiday, deposit on a house, whatever. Once you start getting greedy, you're gonna lose it all.